Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the interview and welcome to Badger Beer Report. I am excited to be joined tonight by Joe Yeado of Gathering Place Brewing. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm good, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Um, so what's going on? It's been kind of an interesting couple of months over there. Tell us what's been on your mind lately.
Yeah, been a busy time. Gathering Place, we continue to grow, continue to be putting out new beers at the River West home base and the Wauwatosa tap room. And then right at the end of the year, amid a flurry of Wisconsin beer news, we announced that we had acquired Sahale Brewing from Grafton. So it's been about 3 months since we've taken over operations up there, and things have gone really smoothly. It's been great to get to know the regulars up there and kind of integrate ourselves into the North Shore community.
Yeah, let's start there because I think that's the point of like there was a lot going on during that week or week and a half, at least as this everything was breaking, and of course that was clustered right around the beginning of the year, which I think is probably not a coincidence. Um, how did this come together with was Matt was the main co-owner, right?
Yeah, so Matt Hoffman was the founder and brewer at Sahale, and he opened up in June of 2019. So it had been just a little more than 5 years, and he was interested in stepping away, kind of doing something else in terms of a career. So I learned about that over the summer. He and I started having conversations, kind of went up, he met with my team, and started thinking a little bit more in depth about what this would be in terms of a possibility. And the more we looked, the more we liked what we saw. Matt was had built a really strong company. The tap room in Grafton is right downtown. It's big, it's bright, it's open, it has a giant patio. He was making really great beers, good quality, has a strong core group of customers and regulars. And just from a philosophical standpoint, they do a lot with fundraising for nonprofits in Ozaukee County. That aligns so well with our mission and philosophy with Gathering Place. So the more we thought about it, the more the two companies really complemented each other.
Mhm.
And we came to an agreement in the fall and set mid-December as the closing date. And we didn't put anything out right away just because of how close it was to the holidays. And then we were planning on doing something after the holidays, a press release. And then all hell broke loose in
Yeah. Mhm.
Wisconsin beer
And
news.
just a little bit of context for the viewers here. We're talking about City Lights announcing its permanent closure. Enlightened announced its closure. We had and then the I guess the big one I think is Explorium, now Explorium Hospitality Group buying the Good City brand and Good City. So there's a lot going on there. I mean, what did you feel like that was? Like you kind of lost some juice there, or like, does it really matter?
No, I didn't look at it that way. I mean, if it was no, I didn't look at it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean,
For
because
us,
in part, go
I was
ahead.
going to say for us, it's an exciting opportunity. It's an operational lift. We wanted to work hard to integrate into that community. We retained all of the Sahale employees. I
Yeah,
was hoping
okay,
that they would stay, and
that's
they
great.
all chose to. So, from our point of view, we wanted this to be kind of a transition on the behind the scenes on kind of a production side of things, but we didn't want to change anything outward facing. So we
Mm,
kept the name, we kept the brand, kept the employees. Um, we are able to produce beer both in Grafton on the 3 barrel system, and we can produce some of these beers in River West on our 7 and 15 barrel fermenters. So for us, we didn't want to make a huge splash because a lot of the changes we're making are kind of logistical and behind the
yeah,
scenes. So for us, like, no, I wasn't bothered by our story being one of several stories in a
hmm
that time.
What the beer aspect of this is, I'm sure it wasn't like like a kind of a linchpin type thing. You mentioned that the stylistically and kind of culturally with the actual I hate the term, but liquid, the beer itself, there was a pretty good match here in terms of like old world styles. Sahale kind of has a bit of a Belgian bent to it, or there's definitely some overlap in terms of like what you guys do, but not so much that it felt very complimentary, I think is the way you described it going in. And then you mentioned the kind of nice adding a 3-barrel brew house to a relatively small brewery that has a 15-barrel brew house. I imagine logistically that's pretty appealing too. Can you just kind of talk about how that has played out, both in terms of like the range of the portfolio and how that's being met, and then also kind of like, are you brewing Gathering Place beers at Sahale now, or how's that all working out?
Yeah, that's great questions. When we were considering the acquisition, the beer lineup was definitely a positive. So Gathering Place, I would say, has made more European-inspired beer. We make a lot of lagers. We make Belgian styles. We also make IPAs and coffee stouts. We kind of have been known for a range of styles.
Yeah.
When I look at Sahale, they also produce a variety of beer, but really have excelled in hazy IPAs, fruited beers, and sours. So those are kind of three pillars that Gathering Place has made and put into the tap rooms, but hasn't really put out for distribution. So when I look at the two companies combined, the beer portfolio, we now span the range of beer styles. So that was really appealing.
And just to like, you are crossing over beers, like Sahale beers are at Gathering Place and vice versa.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we put some of our lagers on tap in Grafton, and we have some of the IPAs and sour beers in our River West and Tosa locations. So there is some cross pollination there. But it's important for us that we keep brewing at in Grafton. It's important that still remains a brewery and an active place for test recipes and so forth. But you're right. I mean, when I look at our equipment, we have a 1-barrel system, 3-barrel, 3.5-barrel, 7-barrel, and 15 barrels. So we can really, Matt Siss, who is our head brewer, he and our brew team can really look at a beer style or recipe and really decide how much we want to make. Is this something we want just for the tap room? Is this something we want to put into distribution in kegs? Or is this something we're going all in and doing cans and kegs, tap room and distribution?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of toys to play with, and a lot of different things.
I mean, I imagine it makes the operational, like running everything with more options. There's more decisions, and it's kind of, you still kind of feeling that out yet, or do you feel like you got a good fix on what should be made where and how it's all kind of coming together?
I think that'll continue to be a kind of a learning in progress. All of the beer is being made in River West at the moment. We are awaiting our state brewing permit. We have our federal permit.
So that means it's pretty simple then so far.
At the moment, yes.
Yeah.
But we're excited to get those 4 fermenters online in Grafton.
Yeah.
Because we're going through a lot of beer and we could use the additional capacity.
That's a good thing to be able to say in February and March, right?
Yes, there's definitely, I read the news, I follow industry trends, not just in Wisconsin, but beyond, and nationally, craft beer, if you're flat, that's actually a good thing. And we're not flat, we're growing. The Gathering Place brand prior to the acquisition was up, our production was up almost 18% last year. So we've grown double digits every year, and we, with adding the production from Sahale on top of that, we should be well north of 1,000 barrels this year, which is still a very, very small brewery.
Yeah. But
in the grand scheme of things, these 9,000 breweries in the country, 80 5% of them make less than 1,000 barrels. So we're still in the long tail, but we're kind of creeping up incrementally.
You're in the fatter part of the tail now.
Yeah, I guess so. Which kind of mimics my own midsection after owning a
Oh
brewery.
no! Come on now, no. Okay, well, there's a lot else that's going on with right now. Lager and Friends. Oh gosh, I don't. May 31st is Lager and Friends, which is again for folks who don't know, fantastic festival that Gathering Place has put on. It's been 6 years now.
This is year 7.
Year 7. And obviously it is oriented around lagers, and really, really an outstanding event over the course of its run here. But this is not. This takes some doing, and I imagine you're right in the thick of the doing right now. So tell us what you're working on right now with where all the planning and arrangements are at, and what we should expect.
Yeah, this is very much a labor of love, both from a production standpoint, and we are a small team. It takes a lot to put on a beer festival, particularly one of this quality. So this year it is Saturday, May 31st. We are hosting it at Gathering Place location in River West, which is the second time it will be at our home spot. And one change this year, we are going back to having out-of-state breweries.
Oh, okay.
Last year, we were not able to because the changes in state law hadn't taken effect yet. So this year, we're able to welcome our out-of-state friends back to the festival. So we have great breweries from the Chicagoland area and beyond who are coming in. One exciting addition, we also have new breweries from Wisconsin who are coming for the first time. So all said and done, we will probably have 26 to 30 different breweries. And that gets you a wide range of beer styles, from Pilsners to black lagers to Maibachs. So it's a lot to explore. But one thing that's a new addition this year is we are going to have an international corner. So we're going to have 5 or 6 breweries from around the world and showcasing their lagers as well. Some of these are very established breweries like Augustiner from Munich, but for as much as we all love beer and drinking craft beer, sometimes we forget these old world breweries are who the Americans are always trying to emulate. So it'll be nice to have some of these classic examples of lagers right up alongside fresh, locally made lagers.
That is so fun. That's a great. That seems like a great addition. I don't drink a lot of import beers, but every time I do, I'm like, damn, this is good. And so and obviously with the concept of Lager and Friends, it feels like a great fit. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can you give us any hints on newcomers this year? Or I mean, I know you're going to say that, well, things aren't totally locked down yet, but can you give us a little nugget?
Well, things aren't totally locked down yet, but we started doing we started releasing breweries 2 Fridays ago. So we're releasing them in batches each Friday. One that I'm excited to announce, a relatively newer brewery from the Green Bay area, is Cocoon. They've popped up on our radar and we've seen them at festivals. They're making excellent beer. It's a very cool space. I believe in De Pere, so right in the Green Bay area. Very excited to have them come down. Dovetail is coming back from Chicago. They have been there since the very first Lager and Friends. We love what they're doing.
So I imagine there'll be a Rauch beer in the mix then, at least one.
I imagine at least one. I think they had a Rauch double Bock the last time they came, which was in 2023. It did not disappoint. If
you're into that kind of thing.
I'm into it for about 2 ounces. That's
the festival is the perfect place for me to get my smoked beer fix. Yeah,
exactly. I think I can announce. This might be the first place we've announced it. every year we do a festival collaboration beer,
Mhm.
and then that beer is available in 4 packs for only at the brewery for people to take. This year, the collaboration will be with Sway Brewing from Door County.
Oh,
So
that's
Matt
exciting.
Sampson he's doing great work up
Yeah,
there, and he has participated in Lager and Friends for the last 3 or 4 years. So our head brewer Matt Sis and Matt Sampson, there's a bit of a Matt collaboration happening, and I'm really excited to see where that
that's
goes.
great. Very cool. Um, I I don't know. Are we? Are we? Is that ready to announce yet? I'm not sure.
Sure,
Well, I don't know, Greg. I know you're backstage. Can you jump in here? You want to talk about this one? Maybe he's not backstage. He's asleep. There he is.
I, I, yeah. What's going on?
Well, this is the official Lager and Friends collaboration is not the only collaboration happening around Lager and Friends. We're ready to announce this, right? This is the worst announcement ever.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm not even ready to be on camera, and Chris is just all like, putting me on thing here. But
Okay, well, I will be the face of this announcement then, I guess.
All right,
But we're Badger Beer Report is excited to be at Lager and Friends this year. We have often been at Lager and Friends in some way, shape, or form, but we will be like a booth. We will have a little table at Lager and Friends, and you can come talk to us. We're going to be making some content, and we are collaborating with Gathering Place on a beer. We're still dialing in all the details on that, and we're getting close because we know lagers take a little time. There's Greg. Wow, that is bright, my man.
I'm telling you, I wasn't prepared.
What can you tell us about the collab, Greg?
Well, it was definitely an idea that I had because of first of all, this is one of the things I love about Lager and Friends is and Joe knows this. Chris and I have been there numerous times, and we just love the festival. Like it's something that we love before I even thought about this collab. So then I don't know. I just had this idea, and I don't even think I talked to y'all about it. And what I mean by y'all, I mean my Badger Beer crew. I was just rolling up on Good Friday. Good Friday, or I'm sorry, Black Friday. Actually, my bad. Black Friday last year, I was doing the run.
We call that Great Friday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. In Milwaukee beer, it's excellent. So
Yeah.
I was just, I just on the way in, I just thought, it would be really excellent if I could just talk to Joe about maybe us doing something with Lager and Friends because it's definitely something that Chris and I love it. I remember Chris went. I don't know if it was the first time Chris went, but Chris went one year and he was like, Greg, you absolutely have to come down to this. If there's any time you come to Milwaukee, please come for this. And I actually what happened was it was that year, Chris, that you went with your dad and it rained. It was the one before I went, and you were like, man, and I could have only I was trying to get there, but I couldn't. And I just missed it. And I saw all your pictures, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to this one next year. So then next year it was at the outdoor German, what's that place?
Old Heidelberg Park, which is outside of Bavarian Beer House.
And I'm sorry, I always get the park wrong. So and I just had a great time about how laid back it was, about how the quality of the beer. Joe is an excellent host, of course, and it was just really, really a good low-key time. Like not a lot of these beer festivals are just so big sometimes, and sometimes they turn into sloppy fests. And Lager and Friends is none of that. It is just so laid back, fun. I mean, I met so many people there. So just going up to Gathering Place because Gathering Place was on my Black Friday list. And I don't know, I just had an idea, and Joe was there, and I was like, Joe, come over here and talk to me. And and we talked a little bit, and Joe was like, yo, that sounds really fun. And and I even said, and Joe already knew that Chris and I had a passion for this specific festival because we had already talked about it. And I was probably in his ear that whole year telling him how great it was. He was probably tired of hearing me talk about it. So he definitely remembered me doing it. So I don't know. I just thought it was a good idea for we're transitioning to Badger Beer Report. So we kind of we're kind of still known as Badger Beer Hour. And we're still kind of a not really known entity. So I was figuring, it would be great if we could bring our name to Gathering Place, and also use our oomph as what we had to get more people to come to Lager and Friends and experience the funness that we experience. So Joe's a wonderful Joe was wonderful about it. He said, hey, let's get back and let's talk about these details. So we were able to double back on the details. I talked to him and Matt, and apparently that went well. So we, everything, it's going through. So yeah, I don't know, Joe, we have some details to talk about, but we're just excited, and I don't really know what else to say. We want to extend thank you to you too, but at the same time we want to make sure that we do our end of the bargain and get a whole bunch of people there. And man, y'all really taking it up this year. These details are amazing. I see Sway, Dovetail, the international, man, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
And I just have to say, if you go to the Badger Beer Report, put a quarter in the jar, Chris. The website, Lager and Friends is listed as a sponsor, but truly, Greg said it. I truly love this festival, and it's you said it's a labor of love for you. I feel the same way, and getting people like you, if you're a beer person and you dig lagers, or even if you're kind of just whatever, if you just like beer, this is really a good festival because the vibes are so good. As Greg said, the crowd is good. It's not overcrowded. I was not able to go last year because of my dad's 75th birthday. So that was a horrible thing. But I do want to ask how it all went last year with the new layout. It's basically kind of a block party setup outside Gathering Place. Is that right?
Yeah.
In and out?
Yeah. Last year was it rained, so we were able to reconfigure and move everybody inside. So
okay.
For those of you who have been and those of you who haven't, our tap room is part of a much, much larger building. So we were able to spread into the other parts of the building, and hats off to the brewers and the guests. Everyone was super understanding, and everyone had a great time.
Yeah.
And, thank you to Greg for the kind words about the festival. We purposely keep this one smaller. Every year we keep the breweries to about 25 to 30 because we want people to have a reasonable chance of actually trying all the beers there and actually having conversations with the brewers. And so, attendees, we try to keep it around 300 people. So it's a fun time, but you're not elbowing people out of the way to go get a beer. It's just very, very relaxed. This year, if I can keep breaking news, I think this year, as part of the festival ticket, I think we're going to be doing brewery tours concurrent during the festival.
Okay. Yeah.
So kind of showing people around our brew house and hear about how we got started. And I should have mentioned this before. We also plan this to be relatively affordable. So a ticket is $40, and that includes unlimited sampling of beer. We also have brats and Bavarian style pretzels that are included in the ticket.
That's right. Yeah.
I think most of the festivals around here start at $60 or $65. So, we love these styles of beer. We want to have a good time. Usually we break even. So the idea here is not to be a money maker. It's let's get the brewers that we like in the same place. Let's exchange ideas. Let's do some collabs, and let's bring members of the public in on it too. So it's very much a labor of love, but we love doing it.
The ethos of you can talk about the ethos of an event or a business or whatever, but that kind of comes through in the experience, in my opinion. And in the same way with the Great Taste of the Midwest. That is obviously humongous, orders of magnitude larger, but the vibe, the intent, that trickles down to the experience. And I feel like on a much smaller scale, that is the situation with Lager and Friends. You get to talk to people who are also the people who make this beer and are passionate about this beer, and they want to talk to you about it. Like they're not like just saying, it's so many beer festivals is like, yeah, it can be, it's not, yeah. I don't go to a lot of I'm pretty choosy about my festivals these days, and yeah, Lager and Friends is definitely like, top two, along with the other one that I just mentioned. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate that. If a brewery is choosing to make lagers, they're doing it because they want to. And so you're right, that passion comes through in the brewers. And at the same time, lager is not yellow fizzy stuff. It's a range of styles and flavors and colors. And, we will have lagers that taste like IPAs, and we will have lagers that have roast and chocolate notes like a
yeah.
stout. And it's fun to try to explore them without having to commit to buying a 6-pack of it. When you're at the store, it's just
Totally.
like, you can commit to this much, or you can commit to this much, and you
Right
can
on.
go back and get more.
All right. What else is going on at Gathering Place? I know I had it on I got a little list of questions over here. That's why I keep looking over there. To ask about the homebrew competition that's coming up. I'm going to be judging that again this year. Very excited for that. But tell us about the plans here. Oh, there it is, May 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Cream City Homebrew Competition, I think this is year number 4 or 5. It is a best of show style competition. So brewers submit 2 bottles for the first round, and the deadline is May 18th. And then we pick the final 10. And on May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd, from 12 to 4, those 10 finalists serve a case of their beer to the public. And then our esteemed judges will pick first, second, and third. And then
Lowercase esteemed in this case.
the crowd will pick a crowd favorite. So there are prizes for crowd favorite, second, and third. And then the grand prize is you come and do a brew day with us. We brew your recipe and then throw you a release party.
Yeah.
So
it's great. I just as far as like the experience for people who go there, it's usually 12, right? Is it 12 or 15?
10. It's 10 finalists.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is free to enter. It is free to attend.
Yeah, and which is awesome. I mean, it's so fun to go around and try all these different beers in like a crazy array of stuff. I mean, I know I forget the guy's name, but he's entered his chai porter.
Chai porter, yeah.
Yes, I think that has been at least 2 or 3 years that's been. Did it win last year? No,
it took second place for 2 years in a row.
The
it's
Buffalo
really
Bills.
Good. It's really
yeah,
good.
It is, and he's a super nice guy too. So what's the deadline for entry on that again?
Deadline to enter is April 18th. And
April 18th. Okay.
You can ship bottles to the River West Brewery, or you can drop beer bottles off at the Tosa location, River West, or Grafton at Sahale.
Perfect.
And you can go to the website to enter.
Folks, you've still got time. You still got time to enter. I mean, if you got that idea in your head, brew it up, bring it over. Great. And last but not least, I guess I want to talk about what's, like, you got kind of a new product line emerging here. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, in our ample free time last fall, we developed and launched a line of THC beverages called Blossom Beverages. So THC was something that was floating around in the background but wasn't a priority. And then last summer, our distributor asked us to make one. So we started researching, sampling what's in the market, and what we came up with was a line of THC-infused seltzers, sodas. So we have 2 flavors. The first is a cherry limeade, and that is a 10 milligram. And then we have a strawberry lemonade, which is a 5 milligram. And
is Delta 8, Delta 9 CBD? What's going on with the mix of stuff there?
They're Delta 9, so it's Delta 9 THC that we get. It's an emulsion, so it blends really well. I will say that we get our products third-party tested, and so it is exactly the dosage that's on the can. We launched it on Black Friday, and it's gone really well. They are available at the 3 tap rooms that we run, and then we're just starting to push out into distribution. So currently they are at Discount Liquor on Oklahoma, and they'll be in some other stores in the next couple weeks.
What it's interesting that that your distributor, which is relatively new, right, within the last year or two.
Yeah, we signed with General Beverage in the fall of 23. So
Okay.
it's been about a year and a half since we've done that.
But that they came to you with this, asking for this product. What do you think of what's going through your mind when you hear that question? Like,
yeah, this whole market is relatively new. Minnesota was ground zero for this a couple years ago. But all of this became legalized as a result of the 2018 Farm Bill. And it only really started to get into Wisconsin in the last year or 18 months. I think the first one I knew of was Third Space releasing a product, I think in December of 2023. But by mid 2024, when I'm in the market, I started to see cooler doors at Woodman's full of THC products. And I would go and talk about, I would go see Discount Liquor, and they went from having a little shelf space to having more shelf space to having more. And that honestly is a reflection of consumers. People are asking for it. And it's not your hippy dippy stoner kids. It's people of all ages and backgrounds. And, honestly, the folks who we see buying it are my parents' age, and it's
the old hippies.
Well, yeah. But it's, I think that it is, and I could talk for a while about this. I don't want to bore you, but I think, the people who launched the craft beer revolution 20 years ago are now in their 40s and 50s, and alcohol changes how it affects your body over time. And like for me now, I have young kids, and so maybe 3 or 4 beers in a night in my 20s is different than doing that now. And so I think we're seeing some people it's a substitution, some people it's a complement to craft beer, but we're trying to respond to what customers are telling us they want. Certainly, who better to make these types of product than companies that are local, that already care about craft and flavor and providing customers with a good experience. So, I anticipate there will be some regulation from the state at some point, but I think as craft brewers who are already in a regulated industry, who already have sanitation standards and technical standards, and we're getting it third-party tested, I think we're well suited to have the public's trust that we're making a good product and doing it responsibly.
That's a great point. Like one of the questions that I've been thinking about with kind of the rise of these beverages. I mean, a lot of breweries are making them now. I mean, maybe more than not. Maybe not, probably not quite that, but I feel like of the ones that I'm frequenting, a lot of them have that as an option in their cooler. Like why breweries? Like how is this a natural extension of what you're doing, aside from you make things with water that goes in cans and gets you buzzed? Like what's the fit there? And not that there needs to be. I mean, like, hey, there's a business opportunity. It's basically green grass to run into. No pun intended. No double pun intended even. Wow.
Yeah.
But like why brewery and not a cannabis retailer that or I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
But I think that's like all those points you made do make sense. I mean,
yeah, I think a big part of it is breweries are food production facilities. We are regulated by the State Department of Agriculture. So, a cannabis company that has a shop doesn't necessarily have stainless steel tanks, washable walls, washable floors, floor drains, a canning line. We have all of the infrastructure that you would need to make this kind of beverage. I don't have the infrastructure to make brownies or gummies. So, there are different avenues within THC that might be better suited to other companies. But when it comes to drinks, I think craft breweries are a natural fit.
Do you see it as how do you see the fit? I mean, like every brewer I've ever talked to, or every brewery owner I've ever talked to, got into it because they love it. And I feel like, and especially maybe in your case, when you were asked by a business partner to come up with this, that kind of imperative, that the why. I mean, that's a pretty clear why, but the why at its core isn't necessarily aligned there. Like, how do you think about that? I'm sure you think about just about everything, but
yeah, well, that's kind of you to say, and it's a great question. My motivation for starting the brewery was to use beer as a way to bring people together. That I do love beer. I started as a home brewer. I cut my teeth doing brewery competitions, but at the end of the day, the thing that motivated me was using beer to bring people together. I think the Blossom beverages are just another way of doing that. It's another medium of doing that. So it still fits within our mission. And the other thing is it's new. It's a new frontier. It's exciting. And the products that we have made, they use real fruit. They are low in sugar and they taste great. And so for me, when I think about how I would develop beer recipes, it's with flavor in mind. And so we're using those same skills and that same mentality to put together a product that tastes good, first and foremost, but doesn't fill you up, doesn't load you up with sugar, and uses real rather than artificial ingredients. Mm-hmm. And so there's a technical challenge to it, and being able to produce something that rises to the occasion and like checks all of those boxes is appealing. To take on that challenge and to achieve it is good.
Awesome. That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I'm not surprised, but that for like an out of left field question there, that's pretty good. What's coming up on? I mean, we talked about a lot of things coming up on your radar. Anything happening in the immediate future at any of the 3 tap rooms now? Geez.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Tosa or River West, but you got the empire going here.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far. So we rolled out a cocktail program at Sahale in February, and we are extending that to the Gathering Place locations starting in April, which apparently is next week. So now we will have 2 monthly cocktails that will rotate, and then there will always be an old fashioned on tap. So we had the old fashioned on tap already at the Gathering Place locations, but now we are adding these monthly cocktails. So again, this gets into the idea of, yes, we're a brewery. We will always be a brewery, but we're trying to be as welcoming as we can to whoever walks through our door. And some people are not beer drinkers, and we still want them to feel comfortable in our spaces.
Yeah, very cool. Joe, thanks for coming on Badger Beer Report. I was not prepared for a sign off, so usually I just kick it over to another to the next segment. But thanks for joining. Thanks for joining us on Badger Beer Report, and thank you for tuning in.